Today on the show, we are honored to be joined. Well, no, I am honored. Today on the show, I am honored to be joined by the fabulous Elizabeth Morris. She is a philanthropist, entrepreneur, and co-founder of The Spot in LA. When you want a taste of New Orleans, Beignet Box, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Oh my word, there's so many directions we could go in today. And I obviously I've done my research and we've gotten to chat a little bit. But I personally want to thank you and your business partner, Christina Milian, for starting Beignet Box. Because when I feel, we were just talking about that, I love New Orleans. It's one of my favorite cities in the United States. It's the place I go when I want to feel like home. It just fills my soul. It's food, it's culture, it's the language. There's just a vibe about New Orleans that's just, walking down the French Quarter. You just can't find that anywhere else. But I get to have a taste of that here in LA.
Yes, now in LA. But you really can't find the vibe like in New Orleans anywhere else. It's really hard. But like we aim to bring the taste here.
Yes.
and the vibe of like that sweet like Southern day. But it is a place you have to visit at least once in your life to understand it.
Yeah. It's a must. But also like you got to hit up Jazz Fest, Essence Fest. I mean, there's so
many things to do.
There's so much to do. Just for our audience who was not treated themselves, what is Beignet Box?
So Beignet Box is, Christina Milian is my best friend, and we founded Beignet Box because we wanted to have a company together. Mm-hmm. And we kept thinking of, what is it that we'd like to, start together. And we were traveling back and forth to Louisiana because I'm from there, like we were speaking on, and for a lot of different philanthropy events. And I have a foundation and we were building homes down there. I was working with a lot of the New Orleans Saints players and the United Way. And we love beignets. And like you said, when you go to New Orleans, it's like everyone's eating the food. And I was having a lot of events and Christina was traveling back home with me a lot. Mm-hmm. And she loved beignets just like everyone else that visits there. And the more and more we would go home, it just became like, oh, wow, they don't have beignets any other place. And why wouldn't we introduce that to the rest of the world or bring that to the rest of the world? Because we're foodies. And so we're like, if we love it, and then we started to notice like literally everybody that comes to New Orleans, there's like staple places that you go, but Cafe Du Monde is,
the first place I usually go.
It's the first place. Everybody's like,
and get a chicory coffee.
And the last, yeah. Right? It's like, and it's like midnight and or you're leaving a Saints game and you just want a beignet and everybody flocks to Cafe Du Monde. And but if you're from Louisiana, it's like every place has a beignet. It's like a biscuit, right? It's like you go to a restaurant and it's almost on all the different menus as a dessert item, and we eat it for breakfast. A lot of people local to Louisiana. So it was just like, well, why wouldn't this be like a donut? Like, why can't the rest of the world taste this? And so we thought like, this is it. Like, this is what we're going to do. Like, we're going to introduce this and we're going to have a coffee shop and we're going to sell beignets and we're going to bring it around and the world. And we tried to start in New Orleans first, but, everything, it's like has a silver lining and it works out for a certain reason. And we had our a lease on Royal Street and we were in love with the location and then COVID happened.
Yes.
And so it was kind of like everything, a pause. And especially we were building it out from here and just New Orleans took some certain cities took bigger hits than others. And, in the middle of COVID and then the downturn of the oil industry, which supports that community a lot, the French Quarter was dead. And so to go all in on our first shop and putting our investment in opening a place there, it just didn't make sense anymore. And then we found the place on Ventura. And I'm jumping a little ahead of myself because by this time we had already had a food truck. Mm-hmm. But our goal was to open our first brick and mortar in New Orleans. And because we did start, in Louisiana where, we launched in Tiger Stadium. And when we came here and we started our food truck while we were trying to get things going there. And because 2020 changed things for a lot of people all over the world, us included, we ended up having our first brick and mortar, which is our flagship cafe here in Los Angeles. So
what's so fascinating to me, this is not one of the things that I was going to ask you, but since we're here, we're going to ask it. There's two things that I want to ask and that was immediately popped up in my head is, one, where did you find the guts, the audacity, the cojones to decide that in 2020 or 2019 that you were going to do something that had already been done? I think people are so afraid, especially women, of starting businesses in a space that already exists. And so then you think it's oversaturated. There's no space for me. There's no market for me. And so I think it is so freaking dope that you decided we're going to do this regardless of what everybody else is doing. And the second part to that question is, we're so afraid of failure. The fact that you were able to pivot and make the best out of it, and obviously hindsight is 2020, that had to be scary. And I would love to hear a little bit more about what that was like and why you decided, we're going to press forward and we're going to do this regardless of what the circumstances are in front of us right now.
Yes, I mean, that really was scary because by this point, I was working with other people's money.
Wow.
So that's like, you're like, okay, I made this decision. We had this like big dream, signed a lease on this beautiful property on Royal Street, which in 2017, when we decided, Christina and I, okay, we're going to go with this concept, back to your question about a almost oversaturated market, desserts, was starting to become like sprinkles, and not starting, but like cupcakes was already on its like way out. Like when we wanted to do our company together at first, it was like 2012, and we're like, sprinkles and all of that was like, okay, we can't compete against that. So what are we going to do? We thought of a bunch of different ideas. It kind of already always went back to sweets and food, and so Beignet Box, now going back to the other part of the failure. So we started the company, we launched at Tiger Stadium. We came here, we got the food truck. And then by that point, we were, kind of like catching the eyes of people. The brand awareness was there. We were in LA. We had celebrities that were like really enjoying the brand. So people came to us and were like, we're really interested in investing in this brand, and we like your vision. So when I signed the lease on the space in New Orleans, we had already taken on a seed investor and some other partners, and we were about $50,000 to $70,000 in on, we'd already paid for the pre-construction, which is the architect, and started demolition and different things like that. And so it was really like, okay, so now that we can't do that, how do we grow as a brand? Like, I have this seed investment and this money. And so it became really clear, like, to me, probably, I think it was like March 13th or something. I don't remember the exact date when everything shut down. I think it was like March 13th.
Yeah.
March 20th, I bought a new truck. Cause like,
really? You
knew,
pivoted that fast.
I was like, okay. I just knew it was like 2 weeks. I was like, there's no way this is about to be 2 weeks. So I just started researching, and I was like, we're going to need another truck, because the fact that we were considered an essential business, which that's a whole different podcast.
Yeah. That'd be a 7-hour episode.
Yes. So I just knew, like, wait, all these places are shut down and we're allowed to be open. This is going to go on for a while. Food, like, so you've seen the growth in the food truck industry. I don't even need to like say, I mean, I actually wouldn't really eat off of that many food trucks before probably COVID. Now it's like, it just became the norm because that's, was a moving kitchen, and that's just what it is. So pivoted really fast. Decided, obviously, getting out of the lease over there because we can now. There's, like all these circumstances that never happened in the world.
Right.
So got the new truck, bought the truck. It was belonged to like an aquarium cleaning company or something like. So it was just like a box. Yeah. Took that box off, sent it to Arizona, and worked with a company out of there to have it built out. And it was ready. Christina was leaving to go to France. Like, everybody was making their moves, right? Like, okay, so world's going to be shut down. Where are we going to go? Right. Like, so she was going to be leaving because her husband's from France. And they were leaving in June. And so, or like mid-June. And I was like, well, we need to get this truck on the road and sent to Louisiana because we're going to need a place down there because we're not going to have the brick and mortar.
Right.
So we planned this whole road trip and had the truck built and everything in like 2.5 months and got it on the road and went on like a 6-week road trip and hit like Arizona, San Antonio, Houston, New Orleans, Florida, and went all the way down to Florida and then brought it back. So just because we're like, okay, something has to happen. And so we just, and my background is marketing and branding and it kind of like we fell into this, the food industry. So it was like, so what we can do right now is create a really good like road trip, PR, brand awareness. And so we hit the road and we did that for like 6 weeks. And so when everything was shut down, it was crazy because like we were going to some towns like.
Was it deserted?
I mean, it was like right in the middle of like when everything happened with the Black Lives Matter. And so some cities, like when we got to Austin, I was like, why isn't, because like we just went to San Antonio and we had a 8-hour line that never stopped.
Are you serious?
And it was raining and it was 105 degrees and we ran out of dough. I had to have dough hot shotted in from Houston.
Are you serious?
Yeah. It was like crazy. Like, and then we get to Austin 2 days later and no one shows up. And I'm like, what's going on?
That's so scary.
And then we rent the little Lime scooters and we're riding around and then all of a sudden I'm like, oh, they're like painting Black Lives Matter on the, I was like, oh, the world is shut down. But I was like in Beignet land, like, cause we're on the road and we're like traveling and like, each city, it started happening kind of like on different days. Right.
Right.
So it happened to be that day when we got to Austin, everything was shut down.
It's so crazy to me that you took a situation, made the best of it, navigated it for 6 weeks on a road trip. And then now that you have your store here in Ventura or the storefront, folks are driving from everywhere. Like I am a foodie. I will drive 2 hours. So I lived in a city where there was no Krispy Kreme donut. And I drove, literally packed my kids in the car and was like, I really want a Krispy Kreme. So we're going the 2 hours. Yes, I have fat tendencies. That's what I'm going with. It just is what it is. But how amazing is it to like hear and see people who are coming from Vegas and Sacramento. And then you have like celebrities like, Kim Kardashian. You have folks who pull up. What is that like considering how scary that was back then? Fast forward.
Well, so that's amazing. Like anytime, even when we're in the cafe, because like, admittedly, I'm not a foodie, which is like the older I've gotten. Like, when I was younger, I think like, and if Christina was here, she'd be like, oh, she hates when I say that. Cause like that's like we really did connect through that when we became friends. We would go out like eating all the time. Like we like go to the restaurant, eat, and like get food on the way home and eat. And stop at the street vendor. And then I just feel like, I don't know, like the older I got, it's like, just like ate less. I don't know if it's like work, stress, whatever it is. But I never would like drive 2 hours to get food.
Really?
Like, so like, no. So I appreciate when people tell me that. I'm like, that is so special. Like, that's like, like people come into the cafe all the time. They're like, we just landed from Vegas and like how you said, or like, we just landed from Iowa, like they'll say the most random places. And this was our first stop on our like list of things to do or eat and try.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh my God, I love that, right? Because like people were just like, they know about it and they hear about it and they haven't even, they're like, we've been waiting. So it means like you haven't even tasted it, but like the brand reception is like great, right? Yeah. People like really, they try us, they love us. And like you said, like Kim Kardashian like posts up like, that's all like organic. Like she loves beignets. There was no wording. Like she used to, she did episodes like flying to like Cafe Du Monde to get beignets. So she's like really loves beignets. And so when we launched Beignet Box and we had the truck in Calabasas, and we actually have known each other from years back, even before she started the show, like, because I was like worked with Christian Audigier at Ed Hardy. And so met a lot. That's how I actually met Christina also. And so she, found out Beignet Box was ours and we like started talking. She's like, oh my God, I can't believe you guys have this company. It's like my favorite ever. And so she's just been so supportive since day one. And it's like the whole family is now like, we're at all the events. And so just that love like is amazing. It's like amazing. And they, they're never like, unless it has like something to do like the Ronald McDonald House, or they're asking us to like do like some type of charity event with them, they really support the company like in telling us like everybody else about us, but also like they like pay and they never call and like, hey, can we, they really support, they know we're a small business. And so that kind of love is like, amazing.
Yeah.
Like to be able to support and people, because it's awesome when people call or they're like, hey, can we do a trade with the truck? Or like, and our girl that works, like with us and she'll have to talk to everybody. And she's like, well, we unfortunately can't do that because a lot of times we just can't. It's like, it costs a lot of money just to fire up the truck. It's like to explain that to people is like, is like, from the diesel to the propane to the employees to the, the beignets are one thing. That's like the easiest thing. That's the easy part.
Everything
but just
else.
like, everything else. So people that understand that and support the business, it's like amazing. And then it just, we're here, how LA works. So just to have the understanding of people that we've known from back in the day, not only pull up, like you said, but then like continuously support us through all of the things they have, like Skims. They did like a pop-up in Westfield.
Mm-hmm.
And they use Beignet Box for every customer that purchased, got to have heart-shaped beignets after. So they're always thinking of really good ways to incorporate us with their businesses too. And so I was talking to a friend about this last night, like growing up, like back in the day, like Natalie and Olivia. I don't know if you know them. They're Kim's good friends. So they're from Canada, but they moved here. I think it was like maybe, what did they say, 2009 or on the very tail end, like right when social media was like starting. So like if you lived here right before, it was a little different, right?
Yes.
And so we were talking about the early 2000s, like 2005 through like 8, like that whole vibe. And it's really cool to see like everybody that was like in our early 20s, like really making it, everybody from
together.
Like the people that everybody knows from Paris to Kim, but then others that people don't know, like the behind the scenes people that I run into and like, like you see like, oh my God, it's so amazing to see, you were a PA, now you're producing your own movies. And like, it's awesome to like see that, like the people that have really been persistent in like their work hustle, like what they're doing now. So
I love that. And actually it leads me into my next question, which is I have a rule, and that rule is I do not work with people I know. So what is it like, and what is it like working with your best friend? I have had a disastrous experience breaking my own rule, and so now I'm like, F it, I will never, ever do that again. What is it like working with your best friend?
That's wild because a lot of people have your rule, and like to me, I'm like, I don't know how it would feel working with people I don't know.
Really?
I've always worked with like my best friends and friends.
Really?
Yeah. So working with Christina is amazing. Like I said, we were roommates and best friends, and we wanted to work together because our other girlfriend that was our roommate at the time, Nicole Irving, we had a company together called Irving Morris, and we met working together at Ed Hardy for Christian Audiger. And then when we left there, we just loved working together. So we started our own marketing agency. So I've always worked with my best friends.
Really?
And to me, it's like awesome and amazing. Like I love it. Even like if I don't have like a official job with my friends, I'm always working with them. Like I'm like always like a lot, like my girlfriend in New Orleans has a swimwear boutique and a spray tan line. I'm like, she's always calling me and I'm helping her with that. And just, people all over. I love working with my friends, and that's girlfriends. And even before that, like I worked with like a lot of, like I was telling you, a lot of the New Orleans Saints players. And I only ended up working with them because they were my friends. So for me, I have a completely different, I guess, experience.
That's so fascinating.
Yeah, everybody. It's almost odd for me to like think about working with someone I don't know, or my friends. I don't know how they move. I don't know how they think. I don't like, so.
So I have, if it's business, if we work together in business and it turns into friendship and then we become best friends, it works for me. But I have found that there is just a level, I guess, not having an understanding, like from two different worlds, if someone is not entrepreneurial. And the reality is entrepreneurship is not for everyone.
Yeah.
This is it's hard. It's a struggle. You're giving up a 9 to 5 for a 24/7. The lack of stability, the lack of sleep, like there's no, you don't I don't know about you, but I can speak for myself as a founder. There's not a day where I'm like, yes, I can sleep for the next like 2 weeks, or like, yes, I feel great.
It doesn't exist.
No, like I'm up at 4 a.m.
Yeah.
Like, am I going to get it together? And I have thoughts in the middle of the night. And so I find it so interesting that you guys can work together. Is there, for folks who are thinking about potentially working with a friend, are there boundaries that were set? Was there a coming to Jesus moment where you wondered like if this was going to work? Meaning in the partnership together.
I don't think like, well, not really. I don't think we've like, because with Christina and I in particular, like we're both like just such hard workers.
Yeah.
Like we're both like persistent at whatever we're working on. Like we're going to work until we get it done.
Right.
We don't like mediocrity. So like
That
so like even though we get things done totally different,
Mhm.
like we our end goal and what we want usually is the same. And so we haven't really had, and again though we do wear different totally hats, right?
Mhm.
Like Christina is talent and she's an actress and a musician and a face, and the things that she gets to do and move about and how she gets to work and help the company. I mean, she'll put it on operations hat when she needs to,
Right.
but she's not going to be involved in the day-to-day and the operations. And so like what she really needs to help with and growing the brand and brand awareness and like creative, and people don't understand how much goes into that, the behind the scenes,
Right.
So I don't think like we really are like supportive of each other. And again, we were best friends first. And this is something that it was a passion project. It happened to like take off and be amazing,
Yeah.
like which we're so happy and blessed for. But when we really, at the end of the day, were wanting to do a company together, it was to support our philanthropic efforts. Like we were working on a lot of different philanthropy projects, and I was supported mostly by oil field companies in the
Mhm.
South. And that was like a really downturn. I don't know if you remember when like people were trying to like pay people to take. Not only did
Yeah.
it go to like, $10 a barrel, people were like, please,
That's
we'll pay you
crazy.
to take the barrels of oil.
Yeah.
So obviously their charity giving is going to be cut to zero when
Right.
they're having to cut all their employees. And at that point in time, we were in the middle of a lot of really big projects, and Christina was involved, and we were like, we really need to start our own company and figure out how we can cut the checks for these projects that we want to fund,
Mhm.
because we're passionate about it. And if we are really passionate about making a change, then how are we going to also start? Like, we don't want to depend on like if somebody can't give us the money at that point in time, because we were talking about, big like $100,000 grants that were due to different organizations.
Right.
And so we were actually leaving. We were at a charity event in New Orleans, and the next day we were at a Saints game, and we were eating beignets, and that's how we came up with Beignet Box.
Yeah.
And we were like, okay, so when we started it, it was really with that goal in mind. So I think we always like, even if we kind of like get like, any type of frustration, because at some point you're going to feel
gonna
like, okay, this, think differently. We always go back to that. Like, okay, we started here,
Mhm.
we're here, and, in this amount of time, and we're on track to do exactly what we wanted. So how do we stay on that track, really,
It's interesting because even with how I started Sara Lovestyle and my brand, and then getting to VC and angel investing, my son's autistic. And I think it's so important, we talk about needing whys and always remembering what that why is. So it's fascinating that even as a duo, your partnership began with a philanthropic effort. So for me, it was like my son is nonverbal autistic. And so I realized that I needed to be able to find my voice in order to advocate for him. But in the process, could I do more and could I be more impactful with my brand and with the companies that I work with? And if they're not, and if they don't align with my why, then I'm just not doing it. But I want to switch gears real quick. Is there a?
I think that's what Christina would say. Like her, like the time and how things like, because when she gets approached to do a lot of different things, right? So it has to be like go along with her why. And especially now, at that point, she only had one child. Now she has 3 children, a husband. And so like it has to match her why.
Yeah.
So with Beignet Box is like, it always like, it goes back to family, supporting the communities, everything like that. So that's why also it just works because we know, okay, like at the end of the day, this is bigger than us. Like it's a food, and it sounds ridiculous saying that, like, but
No.
we plan this company to be able to like really impact all the communities that we go into. So
I love that. One last question for you. What was your wow moment that had you professionally that you realized, oh, this is really happening for Beignet Box?
the incoming calls.
Mm.
Like, I'm going to cry even thinking about it, like, because I prayed for certain things, right? But the people that came to support is not even people I can pray for. Like, I didn't know these people. Everybody knows them in the world.
Yeah.
And like, and I Christina is my best friend, and I have the supportive family and friends. But then like when you start getting calls from Alexis Ohanian and Will Smith and people like that are like, how do we get involved? How do we help? And like, and when you hear why they want to help, like they never, at first they didn't even taste the product. They're just like, we love the story. We love what you guys are doing. It's, so that was our wow moment. And like, just to have the support of those type of people is like, okay, like, wow, like we're doing it, and people are recognizing it, and they want to get behind this brand. And it doesn't make you work any less hard. Like people think that like, oh, these people are your investors.
You made it. You're done.
I'm like, now I have all the pressure on my back.
Yes.
Like, because like these people believe in you.
Yeah.
They could believe in anybody in the world. All these people call them.
Right.
And so like the fact that we're getting these incoming calls and they're saying, we want to support you. And once they do, then you can't stop climbing at that point.
Wow. Okay, I lied. One last question.
Sorry.
And because you just mentioned it, and we might have to do a part 2 because this is amazing and I could talk to you forever. With the strike of affirmative action, and it's already hard enough raising capital. It's hard enough raising money.
Yeah.
Less than 3% goes to women. Less than 1% goes to Black women. You have both here, in this case with the both of you. What has been the landscape, and what has it been like raising the capital to expand and grow? Because you are also expanding to a new store soon.
Yes. So I think even going back to that, how you said like friends, like, so Christina and I thought of it. We were founders. So then our first like, angel investor, like where you're saying, is our girlfriend, Kia Evans. Her husband played ball at New Orleans. So we had that connect, and we became really good friends, and she saw what we were doing. And so the belief of like somebody like that, they were invested in, he retired and different things. And she was like, so once she invested, we're women, they're actually 2 minority women. And so we're 2 Black women and 1 white woman, like just trying to get this off the ground.
Yeah.
Launched in LSU. And then we weren't really looking for outside investment, honestly. So for me, that wasn't the hard part, because again, the calls are incoming. Alexis, who is, now like a professional seed investor at this point, and he called. He was interested. Him and Serena are huge fans of New Orleans. I think like she had her first beignet with him, and so it just like it's nostalgic to them and matched their story. And he tried Beignet Box and really loved it, and was like, I love. He's a huge supporter of women and, women brands. And so he just got behind us. And then Will tried him in Atlanta and had him on the set of Bad Boys, and was just like super supportive of, again, like the company and like, how can I help grow this? And I think at that time, like seeing like women brands, and especially like it was a thought, and to become like from an idea to like, okay, this person is going to work on this to make this a real thing. And Takia would always say like, we invest in people. Yeah. So
That's how I invest.
Yeah, to say what you're saying is like, thankfully I haven't had to like seek any money. Like we haven't like had like a roadshow or like we were going to do our first round of like a big round of funding. And then we just kind of pulled back on that because we just had like our own friends and family and the people that were already involved. So I think we will do a Series A with expanding. but I'm just learning all this stuff. Like when Alexis had called, and I feel like, you think like you know everything when you're like, 36, like these things. And then it's like, wow, like just these little words like runway. Like, why didn't I know that?
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? As it pertains to capital and money. And so learning a lot on that side of like what, all of that and the financials and putting together the P&Ls, because it's really hard to raise any type of money and do it right, because you're going to give away too much equity.
Right.
And I've had some great mentors along the way. Gila Jones, who I love so much. She's on the Westbrook side, and she's just been coaching me so much of like, no, you can't do that. This is what you need to do. Okay, if you're going to bring on more money, this is how we need to do it, because you're going to, if you're going to exit at one point, you want to keep this much percentage. And in order to do that, and you really have to have people that look out for you, because if you don't, then you're just going to have people that take advantage of you.
Oh my gosh. I could talk to you forever. I'm so grateful. Also, we talked about this in another episode where you shoot your shot, but I would love to be a part of, before you get to your Series A, let me go ahead and throw my shot in there real quick. Let me put in a few little bucks there.
I think we have some beignets for you.
Oh, yeah. Bring them on. Yes. I'm so excited. Oh my gosh. I'm so excited. We might have to do this in a different video.
And I think
or eat them now.
I think it's good for the final, and then I'll do a video.
So eat it now?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I will eat it now. Oh, sorry. Look at me being selfish. I didn't even share.
And you have a partnership. You do some work with Malcolm Jenkins, right?
I do. I'm in his VC.
Got it. Yeah. He was one of our Hope Award recipients one year at the at our gala in New Orleans. So, and the sugar, those aren't sugared, so they put the sugar on the side. It might be in one of those boxes over there.
But it's good when the dough is good.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I think they brought dipping sauces and.
Oh my gosh.
Let's see.
I look so ridiculous right now, and I love it.
You can just close it, Sarah, while you're eating it.
Let's see.
Oh my God.
Put some sugar on it for you.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Not close the beignets, close that.
Okay. Oh my gosh. I know, right? Please don't close the beignets. I am so grateful and so thank you.
And then we have some chocolate and caramel.
Elizabeth, where can people find you, and where can they get beignets?
So, Studio City, 12265 Ventura Boulevard. If you are in the Valley of Los Angeles, California. If you are not, if you're in Lafayette, Louisiana, we actually have a truck there also that travels from New Orleans to Houston, in that area for private events. And then we have a truck here for private events. Also, we can be booked for different, baby showers, weddings, birthday parties, anything like that. We do a lot of set visits. Thankfully, the strike is, over.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
So good. Go check it out.